Obviously, this isn't new news at this point, but since I had my camera and lights out for my Froakie t-shirt unpacking video, I thought I'd comment quickly on the Nintendo Direct that was a couple of weeks ago now. It was, mid-September 2013. Now it's early October. What I was, what I wanted to comment on was the new Super Mario 3D World trailer. And, when they first revealed, I mean, you can go back before E3 2013. I made my video, and it's still up, saying that I'd rather the new Mario 3D Mario platformer for Wii U wasn't derived from the Mario 3D Land formula. That I wanted something more along the lines of Super Mario 64, but with a bigger emphasis on exploration and expanding the vastness of the worlds. Because by today's standards, the worlds in Super Mario 64 are very confined, relatively speaking. And there's, you could do a lot more. You could take a Mario game in a much greater direction in terms of free roaming sort of exploration type stuff, with a really tight emphasis on platforming. But when I was watching Nintendo's E3 Directs when they first revealed Super Mario 3D World, I was very surprised by how disappointed I wasn't, because I could see what they were getting at, that hope that this game, that Super Mario 3D World, well, Super Mario 3D Land is kind of like a counterpart to Super Mario Land on Game Boy. Whereas if this new Mario 3D Mario game, Super Mario 3D World, is going to be the counterpart to Super Mario World, then I have every reason to be intensely excited. I mean, this is from the team that made the Mario Galaxy games and 3D Land, which is 3D Land's my favorite 3D Mario game at this point. I don't think it's the best, but it's my personal favorite. So, and I could see in the trailer that this is, there's just really massive disappointment. Like, oh, Nintendo tricked us. Nintendo lied to us. And Nintendo screwed us. This isn't a real 3D Mario game. This is just a port of a 3DS game. And I was like, guys, do you really think that the creators of the Mario Galaxy series are going to make a disappointing game? And the thing is, people are saying, I want a real 3D Mario game like Galaxy. And the thing is, the Galaxy games, the people saying they want an open world Mario game like the Galaxy games, and especially Galaxy 2, were the most linear, non-exploration based 3D Mario games to date. Basically, like a lot of the stuff in Super Mario 3D World, in both the original E3 trailer and in the September trailer, are basically just like areas and level design theory from Mario Galaxy without the gravity and the outer space motifs. And really, like a lot of Mario Galaxy and a lot of 3D Land, 3D Land was basically stuff from Galaxy without the gravity elements. And and I know, the gravity elements were a pretty big, pretty big idea in terms of shaking up how the levels could be designed, and a lot of the most intense or a lot of the most creative elements of the gravity-based platforming were basically 2D segments where Mario was restricted to the XY axis. Uh, people are talking about Mario Galaxy like those were the first Mario games. That's how all Mario games have been and should be. And and the thing is, a lot of what made a lot of everything. Excuse me, I'm going on a bit, but a lot of what made the Galaxy game such a good platform is right there in Super Mario 3D World, just without the space motif. And I think, and the thing is, with this new trailer, within 30 seconds, when I was watching this trailer, and I'm like, come on, they were saying, oh, this isn't a real 3D Mario game. I want the successor to the Galaxy series. There's no creativity. It's just the same thing over and over. It's just new Super Mario Brothers with fake 3D added to it. It's just Mario 3D Land rezzed up to HD. Like, the people saying that, I'm like, you've got to be like, you've got to be full of it if you still think that after seeing this new trailer. This is some of the there was just new. It was totally new stuff, new power-ups, new level design elements, new music, and when you're talking about a Mario game, okay? When you have new items that do new things that you couldn't do before, new level design concepts, new music, new playable characters with new abilities, like, and if those that makes it a new game. If those all those things together do not make this a new game, then nothing can make this a new game. It's kind of like, how demanding can you get? I mean, you can be demanding, but ask for a different game. Do not keep going back to the Mario series, the same series that you go back to a series because you like the one before it. You want more of the same, but with a renewal of the sense of surprise. That's hence we have sequels to video games. But you cannot go back to the same thing over and over and demand a new experience. Like that's, I mean, you of course you a sequel has to be new in order to, or else you just keep playing the original game. But there's a point where it reaches a sort of level of insanity. Like, what do you want? Do you want another Mario game or do you not? Because a lot of the things people are complaining about are kind of what make a Mario game. And you could, I don't know. And plus, I think part of the frustration, I think there's sort of a sort of shut-in culture where some people who are fans of first-party Nintendo games and don't play a lot of other games, sort of want to keep playing the same games, but are too sort of conservative or playing it safe to try new and different kinds of games. And speaking of sort of being seasoned in terms of what's out there in terms of the overall selection of games outside of Nintendo, I've seen people saying I want an open world Mario game like Galaxy 1 and 2, and I'm like, if you think Mario 64, well, Mario 64 was open world for its time, but if you think the Mario Galaxy games are open world games, then I can't. To me, someone who says honestly the that Super Mario Galaxy is an open world game must never have played any game other than first party Nintendo, because that is not Mario Galaxy. It's a great platformer. It's one of the best platforms ever made, especially one of the best 3D platformers ever made. It is not an open world game. Um, uh, what else do I have to say? Yeah, I was thrilled with that new trailer for Super Mario 3D World, and a lot of people that I've seen, particularly on the IGN boards and a few other places, you know, saying, oh, it's just a port of Mario 3D Land. It's just new Super Mario Brothers with fake 3D added to it. It's just a rehash of 3D Land. A lot of those people are saying, okay, I see this. I see a lot of creativity. I've changed my mind, or I now have faith in this game. I'm not expecting it to be disappointing. But there's still a few people who've seen this new trailer and saying, I want my real 3D Mario game. You're full of it. It's like, I mean, you could watch the new trailer and say, hey, I'm not into this. I don't like what I see. I'm not interested in this. But people saying, oh, it's a fake 3D Mario game. It's just a rehash of Super Mario 3D Land. It's like, there's some people that are just impossible to please. Uh, I'm it's too bad I'm not gonna have a Wii U for Super Mario 3D World. I could say that based on this new trailer especially, it's gonna really stink not having a Wii U when this game comes out. I would buy this. I would buy Wii U specifically for Super Mario 3D World and nothing else. I wouldn't. Obviously, there are other games I'd buy for it that I want that have already been out. But Mario 3D World's me as a Mario fan, as a platformer fan, I'd definitely buy that game Wii U for that system. Uh, I have to say my main criticism of this game overall, it's kind of disappointing that the gamepad integration isn't more extensive. Uh, Traditionally, Mario 64 showed what you could. They basically made the N64 controller for Mario 64. They this game showed this is what Nintendo 64 can do. This is what polygonal 3D gaming can do, and the way in which Super Mario 64 was revolutionary is kind of almost an accident in the history of gaming that game came along at the time that it did. Because think about it, they're developing this game in '95. I mean, there was probably overlap between the development of Super Mario 64 and maybe even you know Super Mario 3D Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island was coming out to shelves at the time that they're working on Mario 64. That's in hindsight, that's sort of incredible to think about that they went from Yoshi's Island to Mario 64 in the time that they did. It's pretty freaking crazy. But Mario Galaxy showed that hey, this is how motion control and an infrared pointer can enhance a platformer, a 3D platformer. Mario and you know, we have this Mario 3D Land showed, hey, this is what stereoscopic 3D can do for game design in a 3D platformer, and basically sort of justify the existence of why Nintendo put such an emphasis on 3D on the 3DS. That it actually can have an impact on the way you think about creating games. And we have Mario 3D World, which, you know, we have this new system with this gamepad controller that really it doesn't extensively utilize the gamepad in any fundamental way. I mean, Mario 3D World, I heard it's going to support the Pro Controller. When I played Mario 3D World, I played it with a Wii Remote turned on its side using the D-pad and the 1 and 2 buttons like an NES controller. Uh, I for the first 3D Mario game for a system that's sort of as, you know, radical as Wii U, um, you know, to the point where it, it's kind of disappointing that it's not doesn't extensively use the controller more. Hopefully the next, hopefully because the team, and also something to keep in mind, we've gotten more 3D Mario games in the last few years. I mean, almost half the 3D Mario series came out in the last 4 years, since 1996 when Mario 64 came out. Never before have there's been this consistent demand for 3D Mario games that there's never been before. We have Mario Galaxy, and then like 2 years later, Galaxy 2 comes out, and then 2 years later, Mario 3D Land comes out, and now Nintendo absolutely needs to come out. They needed 3D World. They really needed it a year ago when the Wii U came out, but they need a 3D Mario platformer. And think about it, the team is just they're fresh off of 3D Land was really an extension of 3D. Super Mario Galaxy 2 was a move definitively towards 3D. It cut away the need to have like a lot of story elements that weren't strictly necessary. It cut away the overworld sort of thing, and it really just got to the fundamentals of what makes a Mario game, not having to follow the motifs of Mario 64, Sunshine, and Galaxy. And they really took that to an extreme in 3D Land, where you really just have a Super Mario Brothers style sort of platformer, but with 3D levels instead of 2D levels. Um, and so the team's fresh off of Mario 3D Land, and you know they have all these ideas, things they couldn't do with 3D Land that they could do on an HD system. That's so even if it's loosely following like the mode, the sort of I guess style of 3D Land in terms of point A to point B platforming. And mind you, you could have a lot of exploration even within the parameters of a point A to point B platformer. Just look at Super Mario World, and hopefully, if Super Mario 3D World takes off to Super Mario World, there's going to be a lot more exploration than people are expecting. Um, I and so we're going to get our 3D Mario game for Wii U. Hopefully, it helps invigorate the sales of Wii U. Um, and with that out of the way, I hope that team could take a good 2 or 3 years to really make the Mario game that a lot of the people who are disappointed with 3D World really want. The people I want to see, as happy as I am with how 3D World is shaping out, I want to see something along the lines of the way I first felt when I first saw Mario 64, the way I first felt when I saw Mario Galaxy, like really shaking things up and making something really vast that makes everyone take notice. And I hope they get a good 2 or 3 years to spend some time on a new concept for Mario, because they're kind of like, there was the Mario 64 Sunshine sort of idea, there was the Mario Galaxy idea, now there's this Super Mario 3D concept. And what I hope is that the next 3D Mario game for Wii U really takes after the just starts a new sort of phase in the history of 3D Mario games. And yeah, I said enough. I have a lot more I could say about this game, but I have more important things to deal with. As much as I'd like to have more time to make videos and whatnot. So thank you for watching, and see you guys later.